Hello, hello. Welcome to Code with valmor. Today I'm starting a new section here on the channel. I'm calling it Coding Around. And today, what you guys gonna see here is a quick exercise of the usage of functions and the manipulation of arrays. Okay, so you're gonna see the code here. I will speed up a little bit, okay, and then I will stop and then discuss or present some points to you guys when I think it's important to highlight something, okay. But basically here, what I want you guys to notice is I'm giving uh, long names for the functions. Sorry, I'm giving long names for the functions. So I want you guys to read the code and understand what's the intent of the functions I'm defining, and then the idea is to make it easier for you to understand, and then thinking about a software company where you guys are working. If you have code which is self-explaining, then it becomes easier to maintain also. Okay, so here you guys can see I put together two functions. Okay, one is to print an array of numbers. Okay, I'm passing as argument an array. You know, in C we need to tell what's the length of the array. So length of the array is there. Second argument at line 2, and then on line 3 I'm defining a function to find the smallest number of the array of numbers. Okay, so I'm creating there is another thing I would like you guys to notice, that is I'm creating uh, a file called app.c, right? And then on the app.c, what I recommend is is to keep just the void main there, right? And then every function which is related to a certain activity of your code, or for example, in this case, we have two functions which will receive an array as argument, and then we write some logic there to deal with those numbers, right? So the intent here is to separate the void main, right, from the rest of your code. So we are kind of creating modules. Okay, what is a module? Is basically a file containing functions which are related to a certain domain, right? And then on our case here, on this code, the domain is manipulating arrays. So I just created there an array functions.c. All right. So here now, in C, usually you can, what do you do, right? When you are defining a function to use on your void main or on other modules that you have, usually you define the function before using it, right? Or like here, if you look at line 8, we have the void main. We already know that's the function which will be called when the application is initialized, right? And then before void main, I'm defining the two functions I'm gonna use on the void main. As you can see, at lines 13 and line and 14, I'm calling the function to print the array of numbers, and then the function to find the smallest number of the array, right? And then after void main, I need to actually write the code of those functions, because if I don't define the function, I mean, if I don't implement the function when I compile the code, it will fail, because okay, the compiler will know that there is a print array of numbers function and another function called find the smallest. So it's going to compile, but then when it links, there is no implementation, right? It's going to fail. So here, currently, what I'm doing is on the same file, prototyping the functions before I'm using them. And now, after void main, I'm implementing those functions. Later on the video, I will move those functions into array functions.c. So I will move out from this file, put on another file, which will be my module implementing functions to deal with arrays. And I will need to implement or to create a .h file for my library. I'm gonna call module, but it's kind of my library. I'm creating a library here to deal with array of functions. So now I've implemented the print array of numbers. I'm compiling to see what's gonna happen. You can see I commented out the find the smallest, right? So find the smallest won't be compiled, so it's not going to fail. Yeah, it runs. So what you see here is, I defined it at line 10 an array of 10 elements. I put the elements there, and I'm calling the function to print them, and then they are being printed. As you can see, I did a quick code there to print a string array, and then you see %d. I'm printing the index of the element inside the array, and then I'm printing the element itself. What I want to do now is I want to do a fancy header, and then I will print each element separated by space, so it's gonna be one line with all of them there. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, pay attention that I will move those lines to before the loop, because I want to print one header, the hash, that line with the hyphens, right? Then if you notice, I'm using printf. We saw that function before. It's implemented by the libraries, C libraries, not by myself, so I need to include that library there. I'm using \n to jump a line before, and there is another \n at the end of that line 21. So I'm gonna skip one line after the trace there, and then at line 22, I'm printing array. That's a string, right? And then I'm opening the square brackets there, and my loop is gonna come after. So if you pay attention at the loop now, it's going from 0 until the length of the array, and I'm printing each element of the array. Okay, so right now that line 25 is not correct. Okay, but I want you guys to notice that I'm creating a header and I'm creating a footer, right? You see line 27, I'm not skipping any line, there is no \n there. So line 22 will print the initial portion of the line. Lines 27, 28, 20, line 27 will print the square bracket at the end. And then inside those square brackets, I'm printing the elements one by one. I'm not skipping any line. I'm not creating any new line, so it's gonna be on the same line. And then at line 28, when I finish printing, I will skip one line, printing the footer, and skip another line. So as you can see here on the output, I'm printing. It's a little more fancy than before. The intent is, but notice that I'm doing that inside my function. Void main is not aware about the implementation, right? I'm just calling print array of numbers, and I know that printing the array using that function will print the array on that fancy way you guys see down there on the output. Okay. The next one is to print the smallest number, right? So now I will implement it. Let's take a look on the arguments of the function. The first and the second are known, right? They are similar to the print array of numbers. So I'm passing the array itself and then the length. Okay. Let me just correct one thing here. I'm not passing the array itself. I'm passing a reference to the array, okay, because C is very optimized, so I'm not copying the entire array to inside a function. When I call the function, what happens is I pass the address of the array, and then inside the function I can use the array. I'm referring to the original memory where the array is allocated, right? I need the length because in C there is no property of the array telling me the length, so I need to know that in advance. So if I am pre-allocating an array, I need to know the length of the array. So that's the 10 there. By now it's a magic number. You see at lines 13 and 14, I'm passing the reference for the array, and then I'm passing 10. So I'm putting magic numbers there on the void main. But that's fine. Okay, coming back to find the smallest. So the third argument is a pointer. Remember, there is one video where we discussed pointers. What's a pointer? Take a look on that video. So the idea here is to pass a variable into the function, right? Like I did at line 14. That variable, it's an integer because the array contains integers. And then what I want to do is I want to, inside the function, I want to search by the smallest number, and then I want to set that value into the variable which is outside the function. Okay, how can I do that? I just can do that by using pointers, right? So the number, line 14, the number, that line is wrong because the number is a variable, right? I need, and then the function expects a pointer, right? Expects a pointer. If I look a little closer, and rephrase my sentence, the function expects an address of a variable because smallest, that argument is a pointer. So pointers hold addresses, right? Addresses of variables. So line 14 needs to be modified. I will modify later. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating the logic to find the smallest number. There is at least another way of doing this search, right? But I'm using a loop from 0 to the length of the array, line 23, okay? And then I'm checking at line 24 inside the loop if the current element of the array is less than the value is less than the value on the aux, right? To find the smallest, I'm initializing aux with the largest number an integer variable can hold, okay? And then what happens is on the first loop, line 24 will actually check, right? So the first element on the array is 5. 5 is less than 65,000, blah, 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 yes. So aux will receive 5. And then I'm going again on the loop, then 5 is less than 5, no. Then I go again, 6 is less than 5, no. 7 is less than 5, no. 1 is less than 5, yes. Then at line 26, aux receives the value of that element of the array, which is 1. And then it goes on to that, right? Another way of doing this is we can search from the beginning and the end of the array, and then after we finish, we can compare two values and decide which is the smallest, and then return. As you can see, there is an error. I tried to compile, but it's failing because I'm not passing when I'm calling the function, I'm not passing the address of the variable. I'm passing the variable itself, so it's failing. So now when I use the ampersand there, C understands I'm actually retrieving the address of the number, of the variable the number, and then at line 29, when I'm setting the smallest number, I found into the pointer, I need to use the star there. So then it works. So I'm setting the value on aux to the place pointed by smallest. Smallest receives the address of the number, so the value goes into the number. All right, I added another printf at line 15 to actually print the smallest number. So I'm doing some fixes there to skip some lines and then have a nice output there. So let's change a little bit here. Let's put -10 as an element of the array, and let's see what happens. All right, the smallest number on the array is -10. Pretty cool. Now let's see what we can do here. Let's move some stuff around and see if we can use the new module I'm creating there. So now I'm creating the .h file to hold the definition of the functions, okay? And then I will move some code to there. So the definition of those functions. Oh, I wrote it wrong. So playing around. I hope you got it. So now I'm moving that code from here to there. Let's move. So I'm defining the functions here, right? And then the implementation of those functions will be placed into the C file related to the header, okay? Sometimes people have just one header file with several functions defined, so they include just one file, and the implementation of those functions are done on multiple.c files. It's another approach. The approach I prefer is to have one .h file and one C file for the functions. Now if we go back to the main, to app.c, now I need to include the header file for my module. And then that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. See you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.